Welcome to the Something Blue Fan Who Review. This is an ongoing series on the Something Blue channel where I, Jed T.E. Rhodes, murderer of the fourth wall and owner of too many coats, will review Doctor Who fan content, be it fan films or fan audios. And today, in what may be the most sadly predictable choice known to internet fandom, we will review an episode from noted fan production group DW2012. Specifically, we will be looking at Eternal Darkness, or rather, the remastered version, first released in 2019. Anyone who is familiar with the world of Doctor Who fan productions will be aware that the first thing that pops up when you look up Doctor Who fan film, in that precise order, is DW2012. It is also the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh thing, and possibly even the eighth, ninth and 10th, possibly interspersed with similar groups' works. DW2012 is one of the most ubiquitous and well-known groups out there, in part due to the budget and camera quality of their work, and in part because Luke Newman, the producer, lead writer, composer, set builder, and star of this project, built a surprisingly good TARDIS set in his parents' back garden shed using presumably half the LED lights in Birmingham, and people tend to like that sort of thing. Eternal Darkness, or rather the remaster of Eternal Darkness, is the fourth episode of Series 1. A quick word on the term remaster. This is in fact a from-the-ground-up reworking of the original episode with a completely different collection of doctors, a not-so-completely different script, and references to the then-in-production Series 5, which stars Dominic G as the Purple Doctor. Martin's Doctor also appears in this episode in an extended cameo, while main Doctor duties are taken on by Newman as the Little Red Doctor, and George Guidera, debuting as the Blonde Doctor. Other Doctors include the Velocity Doctor, played by Crystal Moore, who appears via television screens, because Velocity is American and even DW2012 can't afford plane tickets on the fly, and the Cravat Doctor, played by the most poorly colour-graded Connor Chadwick in history. It should be noted that the remastered series completely replaced the original episodes, which no longer have an official release. This is part of what my friend Matthew Mills refers to as the old video problem. What does one do when the older videos no longer match the output you create? The stated intent of the remastered series is to bring the older stories into line with Newman's current standard. The fact that, subsequent to this, Newman began filming in 4K may mean that this version of the episode ceases to be official in a few weeks, months, years, whenever. At which point we may review the remaster, assuming that enough changes between versions happen to make it worth our while. Certainly the script won't change that much. The story is something of a runaround, where a collection of composited-in figures who look like Halloween costume dementors, known as Soul Snatchers, are seeking to steal the various Doctors' souls in order to extract the darkness from them and resurrect the Valiard. Played very well by Scott Mason, who, along with Newman, Chloe Norton as companion Jessica Whitehouse, and Daniel J. Patton as the Irish Doctor, is one of the only returning cast members from the original episode. The running around in a graveyard is well shot, but can be a touch repetitive, especially when there is a collection of cameos of various canon Doctors, played by a collection of whoever Newman could get to wear a cosplay coat for the shot. The script is also somewhat lax, requiring a great deal more sharpening than it received when being remastered. The fact that entire scenes can be seen practically word for word from the 8 years older original does speak to a certain focus more on visual effects than the storytelling. Also lacking is the use of other Doctors in the script. Guidera as the Blonde Doctor is especially underserved, as he spends the entire episode effectively being the Little Red Doctor's companion. This may be a running theme for that incarnation, but we'll address that another time. It is worth noting that every single thing that makes the Blonde Doctor the beloved incarnation he has become, apart from Guidera's superlative performance, here somewhat different from the more refined version we see in Prism, Dwem and What Fourth Wall, is completely absent. Indeed, every single thing that makes most of these incarnations unique is absent, which makes sense, as most of them are reading lines written for completely different actors a decade ago. The one exception to this is the Irish Doctor, who has elements of his ongoing arc in his own series referred to in this episode. This is one of the only moments in this episode that the Doctors who aren't Newman feel like they're Doctor Who, as opposed to a collection of side characters who happen to have funny coats. Apart from a brief moment of the Purple Doctor reminding us that there is a companion apart from Megan Williams in his series, the Doctors feel like props, rather than the heroes of their own stories. A common thread of the DW2012 episodes is an effort to emulate the tone of the RTD and Moffat eras, and the resolution of the episode is suitably modern Who, with the Doctors coming together to expound on their, or rather the Little Red Doctor's, awesomeness. This is at least decently shot, but a touch underwhelming if one is not invested in these characters. Conversely, if one is invested, this can be an impressive moment, so your mileage may vary on that front. At least decently shot is a compliment that can be paid to most of the episode, and it is in the cinematography, camera quality and effects work that we can see the most improvement. There are some excellent shots and some really disturbing puppet work for the Valiard that is genuinely well done. The fact that this is presented alongside the Soul Snatchers, who very much look like Halloween costume Dementor wannabes, and some odd colour grading moments, means that there is a strange inconsistency in the quality of the episode. Critiquing budget and design is somewhat tricky with fan projects, as we've said, due to the zero budget nature of any project, But there clearly was a budget here. It was just spent in different places to different degrees. Overall, this is a mixed story. If one is not especially demanding from the dialogue and story, this can be a fun, well-shot runaround by fan film standards. But for a multi-Doctor special, it's lacking in anything meaningful for most of these multi-Doctors to do. But on the plus side, it introduced the world to the Blonde Doctor, so we must always be thankful for that, even if it did lead to 4 years of the same 5 pictures being used for cover art.